Hey there, how there, ho there, Chef Cutter Davin. Welcoming to yet another Cutter Top 10 sports video. And it is time to get ready for the FIFA World Cup. And of course, my number 10, my unofficial England jersey and all that. But it doesn't matter, it's an England jersey nevertheless. I've worn this for many years. I got on the news with that jersey in 2021. So, you know, it's good and all that. And, Bill gifted it to me. So I might as well keep it. So, anyway, we're going to talk about the top 10 FIFA World Cup group stage shocks of all time. Yes, we'll probably get to shocks for the round of 16, quarters, semis, and finals and all that. But the fact of the matter is, well, you got to start somewhere. You start from the group stage. Now, a quick rundown on how the group stage has worked throughout the years. From 1930 to 1978, it was 16 teams, four groups of four, and at times it's the top two teams move on to quarterfinals and then straight knockout. 1934 and 1938, they had 16 teams, but they had a straight knockout tournament. And in 1978, in 1982 for that matter, they decided to have something called second groups. Oh no, 74 as well, which kind of was pathetic. 1986, when the tournament expanded to 24 teams. No, 1982 was expanded to 24 teams. That's right. Was expanded to 24 teams, six groups of fours. The top two teams in each of the six groups from 1982 to 1994 got in, and then four of the best third place teams got in. In 1998, they changed to 32 teams, which we had until eight groups of four, top two move on, Sweet 16, and all that. But of course, now we got to get ourselves wrapped up for a new world order. 48 teams, 12 groups of four, top two move on, and then the eight best third place teams. So anyway, this group stage thing is a little awkward, but it is what it is. All right, here we go. Number 10 is not really a team, it's more like Team Z. It is what they call the World Cup Champions Curse from 2002 to 2018. So, starting in 2002, the defending World Cup champs had uphill climb. France, we'll talk about them 2002. And then when Brazil won in 2002, they did make it through the group stages, but they actually fell flat to France in the quarterfinals. The French team in 2010 had a massive curse. We'll talk about that later. They couldn't get out of the group stages. Now could 2002 French. The 2010 champion Spaniards didn't get out of their group. In 2014, they actually ended up getting handled by the Dutch, which led to their downfall. And then the Germans in 2014 won the title. And then in 2018, they went in and fell in the group stages, losing to Korea, if memory serves me right. And then the 2018 champion French actually kind of broke the curse for 2022. Now the question is, how will Argentina do? Anyway, number 9 is South Africa, France, 2010. So South Africa was hosting the World Cup. It was the first time Africa got to host the World Cup and all that, and about time. I remember that Cameroon or Nigeria, the powerhouses would get in, but definitely not. Morocco kept trying. So South Africa got in with the Vuvuzelas and all that. South Africa was in a group with Mexico, France, and I can't remember who the fourth team is. Nevertheless, South Africa tied Mexico in their first game 1-1 in 2010. And then they beat the French 2-1. The France were the defending runners-up in the World Cup because they ended up losing to Italy in the final. And yeah, I did say they were the winners in 2010. Whoops. I did say 2010. So, anyhow, South Africa beat France. But France kind of had some internal fighting within Raymond Dominic and the coaching thing and all that. So, South Africa beat France. It was not enough to get to the knockout stages. And for the first time ever, the host nation did not make it to the second stage. Qatar in 2022 is the same thing. Number 9 is South Africa 2010. No, sorry. What am I doing? I already did that one. Number 8 is East Germany, West Germany, 1974. Yes, there was a time that East Germany were separate from West Germany and had a soccer federation and all that. They actually had a few good teams in European competition, but in world competition, they somehow made it to the World Cup. They took on West Germany in 1974. And a lot of people said it was on purpose that Germany would have to face East Germany in the group stage. This carried huge political and symbolic weight. East Germany managed to win on a goal by Jürgen Sparwasser to make it 1-0. West Germany lost. But the good news is West Germany, in a sense, won by losing because it got them to a better qualifying group to get to the final, which West Germany won that little group to get to the final against the Dutch, whereas East Germany fell flat. But in the end, it was East Germany could at least get something on West Germany for a while until the wall fell down. Number 7 is Algeria, West Germany, 1982. So in 1982, West Germany were hoping for a lot of things and all that. 1978 was kind of a flop, losing to Austria. Well, that was just terrible. But anyway, West Germany were looking pretty good. They did take Euro 1980. I can't remember. I don't think so. No. But anyway, West Germany were a pretty good team and all that. So their first match was against Algeria. Algeria crushed Germany 2-1, and that was their first World Cup game. Algeria had a few good results against Austria and I think Chile. Yeah, Chile. It was down to the final game between West Germany and Austria. However, they engineered a 1-0 Germany win so that Algeria would be not in the top two. That game blew chunks. Algeria wanted to get into that second group stage as much as possible and failed. However, FIFA did learn this lesson and said that they would make the rules that there would be simultaneous kickoffs at the final group stage games. So that's pretty good. Number 6 is Saudi Arabia, Argentina. I'm sorry, I know this should be higher, but in essence, I think that this was not a shock. Given how Argentina were the 2022 World Cup champions, it ranked lower on the list. So anyway, Argentina faced off against Saudi Arabia. Their first match in the World Cup in Qatar was against Saudi Arabia. They had a 36 match unbeaten streak, one of the favorites to win the tournament, and some Canadian prognosticator actually picked Argentina to win by luck. And lo and behold, I was right. Anyway, Saudi Arabia were down 1-0, and then they scored 2 goals to win 2-1. They made a national holiday out of it in Saudi Arabia. It was huge. They got to the group. They got out of the group stages, like to the knockout stages. So did Argentina. However, Argentina used this as a springboard to win the title. Now, Argentina is not the first champions to lose their first game, but win the World Cup. 2010, Spain lost their first match. I think it was to Paraguay, or was it Uruguay? Spain lost their first match in 2010, but they won 6 in a row to move on to win the World Cup. So Argentina was kind of like them too. Number 5 is Italy 2010. It wasn't just one game, it was the whole freaking tournament, if you will. So the 2010 World Cup was in South Africa, as I said, and I took about France in a sense. Because France were, in such a good group. The group France was with South Africa, Uruguay, and Mexico. I think I said Uruguay, but I balked. Yeah, South Africa tied Mexico 1-1. They got crushed by Uruguay, but they beat France and actually prevented them from moving on to the knockout stages, which Mexico did. However, Italy was placed in one of the softest tournament brackets ever. They were the leaders in Group F. They would face Paraguay, Slovakia, and New Zealand. Paraguay, not much of a World Cup history except for '98 when they got to the quarters, but lost round 16, but lost on a golden goal by Laurent Blanc, a fraud. Slovakia is not really a soccer nation; it's more of a hockey nation, believe me. And New Zealand, well, they kept trying to make it in as the Oceania champs once Australia jumped towards the Asian qualifying. So Italy were gift wrapped this group, and all they needed to do was to get top 2. They faced Paraguay and tied them 1-1. No big deal. It is Paraguay. No big deal. Then they had to face the Rents, New Zealand, and for some effed up reason, they tied New Zealand 1-1. So Italy 1-1 against Paraguay. The Rossi did tie the game. And then against New Zealand took the lead in the 7th minute on a goal by Smelts. There was a penalty to Enoch Quinta. He scored 1-1 tie. And then the next game against Slovakia, they shocked themselves by losing. Vitak put up a pair of goals, and Slovakia won the game 3-2. So that meant that Italy had 2 ties and 1 loss. 2 points definitely would not get you to the knockout stages. Thanks to their quote unquote wins, Paraguay beating up on Slovakia and Slovakia beating up on Italy, those 2 teams with those wins actually qualified. And worst of all for Italy was that New Zealand with 3 ties actually were ahead of Italy in the group. So Italy fell to those teams and fell below New Zealand. What's even worse is that Italy has missed the last 3 World Cups, 2018, 2022, and now 2026, because they lost to Bosnia in the playoff. That would have given them a group with Canada. Kind of the beginning and the end. Italy did have some semblance in 2014. I think they missed out too, didn't they? I don't remember. I know England missed out. Costa Rica made it. I think it was Costa Rica and um, Uruguay that got through, right? I can't remember what Italy was like, but yeah, that was the beginning of the end for Italy. I mean, how was I supposed to know Italy is now out of the last 3 World Cups? Who you go find? Forget it. Number 4 is Senegal, France, the battle of the French the colonialists and the ones who were colonialized. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, in 2002, the opening game when the World Cup opened with the defending champ, not the host country, getting the first game. Senegal would face France in Korea. France was expected to take down Senegal, Denmark, and I think Uruguay. I can't remember the 4th team, but anyway, France would play Senegal, making their debut in the tournament. And then, of course, that famous 30th minute goal on the BBC by the late John Motson. Booba Dub is here! And Booba Dub is here! And after half an hour of play, Senegal, after half hour of play, Papa Booba Diop. So yeah, that was the enduring image. Papa Booba Diop, who's no longer with us as well, he scores to make it 1-0 over France. France crashed out. They scored a few points, but the problem is France, unlike Italy, actually, yeah, France of 2002 was worse than Italy 2010 as defending champs because France couldn't score a goal. Italy at least scored a few, but France couldn't even score one little easy goal. Senegal would use the momentum to beat Sweden in the quarterfinals. No, in the round of 16 via golden goal, as in extra time goal. Senegal got golden goals themselves by Turkey. Number 3 is Cameroon, Argentina, 1990. The Argentines were the defending champs. The tournament was held in Italy, and Argentina were looking pretty good. Diego Maradona was playing for an Italian team, so it was happy it's going to be. They would take on Cameroon, who actually went to a few World Cups. In 1982, I think they were close to qualifying for the knockout stages, but missed out. But Cameroon put up a clinic. Argentina with Maradona was expected to win. Unfortunately, Cameroon would spoil the party. One Omar Beek, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, scored the goal over Argentina's Pompidou, and then the other brother got 2 yellow cards and got booted. What's even worse is that Claudio Cunigia, not Maradona, was hacked at by Benjamin Massey, so much so that the Argentines' boot came off. Cameroon managed to win 1-0 even though that the discipline sucked. Argentina would actually make a new goalie switch after the second game when Pompidou injured himself and Goicoechea came in to do the job. Cameroon, Argentina qualified out of the group. They made it through the group stage and got to the final against West Germany, which they lost 1-0 on a penalty. But Cameroon got in as well. Cameroon also did well. They actually beat Colombia and Rene Higuita, and then was so close to taking out England to get to the semifinals. They failed, but yeah, Cameroon was a little bit dodgy. Number 2 is North Korea, Italy, 1966. I know you're probably thinking England, but that's a different story. The tournament was held in England, and North Korea made it through the Asian qualifying shockingly. So much so that England did everything in their power to try to dissuade North Korea from coming to the FIFA World Cup. but it failed. They even banished North Korea to the northeastern part of the country, Middlesbrough. But unfortunately, though, it actually bit the organizers in the ass, as North Korea got the fans in Middlesbrough on their side because Middlesbrough were kind of isolated from London and the major part of England. So North Korea felt at home. After a few good games against the Soviets and Chile, they had to beat Italy. And if they beat Italy, they would have gone to the quarterfinals because remember, it's a 16-team tournament. North Korea scored a goal by Pak Duk-ik in the 42nd minute. North Korea won the game 1-0, and Italy were booted from the tournament. North Korea would actually pull off a 3-0 lead on Portugal in the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, though, Eusebio scored 4 of the Portuguese 5 goals to beat North Korea. But give North Korea credit. They got to the quarterfinals. They gave Portugal the trouble. And worst of all for Italy, the players thrown were actually touchdown when they touched down to Italy. They were pelted with tomatoes. So that's just bad. It's weird for Italy. And probably after the loss to Bosnia, they were probably thrown fans probably want to throw tomatoes at them. And number one, without a doubt, and I think you know this too, is USA England 1950. This was the original giant killing, and boy, was it a massive one. The United States were not really much of a soccer nation. I mean, they did qualify for 2 of the 3 World Cups, the first 3 World Cups. They actually, in 1930, got 4th place because they won their little group, but they took the top 4. And then 1934, they ended up beating Mexico in a playoff just to get to Italy. But the funny thing was that the U.S. were trying to think good. It was a group with Spain and I think who was the 4th team that they well, it doesn't matter. Chile, I say, but no. Anyway, the U.S. and England had to face each other. England didn't play in the first 3 World Cups because their Colonial Football Association did not like what FIFA was doing, so they bowed out of it. However, FIFA made good with the English thing in 1950 and made England go through a qualifying stage, and England qualified. England were expected to beat the tar out of the Americans, but however, Joe Gations, a waiter by trade, actually headed the ball into the net 1-0 US. England, for some effed up reason, could not score the goal past the American keeper. And America won 1-0 over England. Bet your Trump will like that. But the fact of the matter is that, USA beat England in something that wasn't baseball. But anyway, the Americans won 1-0. The problem was the Americans didn't think they were winning so much so that there was only one reporter who actually reported on the thing. And most newspapers on both sides of the Atlantic, US and England, actually thought it was a typo. Some say 10-1, some say 10-0. But no, it was 1-0, and the Americans knocked England out. The worst part for the US was that it would take 40 years till 1990 to get back to the World Cup. So maybe it was England revenge. I don't know. I just don't know. And yes, I know I kind of was shouting at England by making that the number 1 choke, but it was a fucking choke. Everyone knows it. I know it. You know it. Everyone knows it. That's the truth. I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.